The moment his shirt hit the grass, I knew I wouldn't be able to pretend anymore. He looked up toward my window, right where I was standing, and instead of turning away like he usually did, he held my gaze for a beat too long. Then he smirked. It was over. Whatever line I thought I was safely tiptoeing, that line had just disappeared. His name was Matt. He was a contractor who handled landscaping jobs in the neighborhood, and for the past few months, he'd been coming by every other Saturday to take care of my lawn. He wasn't flashy, didn't make small talk unless I started it, and usually kept his earbuds in while he worked. But every time he pushed that mower across the yard, shirt eventually peeling off under the sun, I lost a little more of my grip on whatever self-control I thought I had. I watched him every time he came, not just because he was hot, though he absolutely was, but because there was something about him that made the air feel charged. His arms flexed when he tugged at the pull cord, his lower back dipped when he leaned forward to dump clippings into the bin. The sun always seemed to catch the sweat that traced down his spine like it was doing it on purpose just for me. At first, I told myself it was harmless. I'd look through the blinds, sip my coffee, maybe take a break from work to stretch near the window. But the truth was, I waited for those mornings. I watched the clock. I planned around it, and today, something felt different. Maybe it was the heat, or maybe it was the way he took his time, edging the lawn, slowing his movements, making sure I was watching. When he stood near the hedge and finally pulled that shirt over his head again, I thought it would be just like every other time. But then he turned, and he looked right at me. I stood there in my kitchen, frozen, coffee in hand, caught in the middle of a stare that felt anything but accidental. His expression didn't change. He didn't wave. He didn't look embarrassed. He just watched me and smiled. My stomach flipped. I backed away from the window, suddenly aware of how fast my heart was beating. I couldn't tell if I felt thrilled, exposed, or stupid, but I didn't move far. I just leaned against the wall beside the frame and peeked again. He was still watching. Then he reached down, picked up his water bottle, and casually made his way toward the side gate, right toward the back patio, the one that was unlocked, the one that led straight to my kitchen. I watched the side of the house, breath caught, wondering if maybe he just needed to ask for something. And that's when I heard the back gate click shut, then footsteps, slow, confident, and a knock at the glass door. I turned, and there he was, shirtless, smirking, holding his water bottle like it was the most natural thing in the world to come up and ask for something without texting first. I opened the door. "Hey," he said, leaning casually against the frame. "Didn't mean to bother you." "You're not," I managed, trying to act like my skin wasn't burning just from how close he was. He looked me over once, just once, and smiled. "I forgot to ask, you got a hose hookup I can use out back?" Yeah, I said, stepping aside so he could walk in. He didn't move yet. He looked at me, really looked, and said, "Cool. But actually, Mike, can I ask you something else first?" "Sure," I said, confused. His eyes didn't leave mine. "You watch me a lot when I'm out there." I froze. "I mean, it's cool," he added quickly, his voice low, calm, confident. "I just wanted to know if it was for the same reason I keep taking my shirt off." The silence stretched long between us. Then I whispered, "Why do you keep taking it off?" Matt stepped into the doorway fully now, the sunlight casting down across his bare chest, and said without flinching, because I hoped you were looking." And that's when he set the water bottle down, closed the sliding door behind him, and reached for my hand, like we'd already agreed on something without saying a word. His fingers brushed mine, rough from work, warm from the sun, and I swear I felt that touch in every part of my body. Matt didn't say another word. He just watched me, his eyes scanning my face, waiting for me to say no, waiting for me to pull back, waiting for anything that would break the silence between us. But I didn't move. I didn't even blink. I just stood there like someone had unplugged my brain and left nothing but heat behind. He stepped forward, only a little, only enough to close the space that had always been there every time I watched him through the glass, imagining what it would feel like to have him this close. "You're not going to tell me to leave, are you?" he asked, his voice so low I could barely hear it over the buzz in my ears. I shook my head slowly. "Number, I don't want you to." And then he kissed me. It wasn't rushed. It wasn't even urgent. It was intentional. The kind of kiss that started like a test, just lips brushing lips, a hint of pressure, a breath, and then deepened when I leaned into it. His hand found the side of my neck, thumb grazing just under my jaw, the kind of gentle control that made my knees weak. He tasted like sweat and mint gum and something else I couldn't name. Familiar but new. When he pulled back, his forehead rested against mine, both of us breathing heavier now. His other hand slid under the hem of my t-shirt, fingers exploring the warm skin just above my waistband. "You think I haven't noticed you watching me?" he asked. "You're not exactly subtle." I laughed softly, nervous, and turned on all at once. "You never said anything?" He shrugged, his smile smug, "Because I didn't want to be wrong. But then last week, when I took my shirt off and you dropped your coffee cup, that kind of gave it away." "Okay, that was one time." "No," he said, cutting me off, kissing me again between words. "It was every time." He pulled my shirt off in one smooth motion, his hands sliding across my chest like he'd been waiting to do it forever. His mouth followed, trailing kisses across my collarbone, down to the center of my chest. I closed my eyes and let him take over. His hands moved down to my hips, and before I knew it, we were pressed up against the kitchen counter, all skin and breath and friction. "I've thought about this," he whispered against my neck. "While I was working, sweating right outside your window, wondering if you were watching." "I was," I breathed. "Every single time." He bit his lip like that was exactly what he wanted to hear. We didn't even make it to the bedroom right away. The couch was closer, and when he pulled me down with him, my hands slipped beneath the waistband of his shorts, feeling nothing but heat and strength and a body that had clearly worked for everything it had. We didn't have sex, not yet, but we kissed until our lips were swollen, we touched until we were both flushed and shaking, and we let our bodies talk in all the ways we'd avoided with small talk and short glances for months. His hands explored me with care, slow, strong, steady, like he didn't just want to feel me, but learn me. And when it was over, when we were finally lying there together, tangled up, half naked, catching our breath, he looked at me like I was more than just some fantasy behind a window. "I knew there was something here," he said. "I just didn't expect it to feel this real." I ran my fingers down his side where his muscles flexed beneath the skin. "You gonna keep coming back?" His smile turned into something quieter, something that felt like a promise. "Only if you want more than the lawn." The mower was still sitting out front, unplugged, quiet, forgotten. Matt should have gone back out to finish the job, maybe 30 minutes ago. But instead, he was still here, shirtless, barefoot now, sitting beside me on the couch, with his hand slowly tracing along my thigh, like he didn't want to stop touching me, even if he knew he probably should. His fingers had calluses, but the way they moved was tender. Like he wasn't used to softness, but with me, he wanted to try. "You okay?" I asked, watching him, as he stared at his own hand on my leg. He nodded, still not looking at me. "Yeah, just thinking." I turned toward him a little more. "About?" He paused, then finally said, "I didn't plan for this to happen. That makes two of us." He looked up then, eyes darker than I'd seen them, still confident but quieter now. "I thought about it. I wanted it. But I figured you were just, I don't know, curious, maybe just into watching." I smirked. "You think I've been accidentally standing at the window with my coffee for 6 months?" His laugh came out fast, and it eased something in both of us. "All right. Fair point." There was a beat of silence between us again, but it wasn't uncomfortable. It was heavy, sure, but not in a bad way, like something still settling into place. Then I asked something that had been sitting in the back of my mind since the moment he kissed me. "Have you ever done this before?" He didn't answer right away. His hand stilled on my leg. Then he leaned back and exhaled, eyes on the ceiling. "Not like this," he said. "Not with a guy? Not with anyone I actually wanted?" I sat with that. "You've never been with a man before?" He shook his head. "Number, not really. There was one time in college, but it was drunk, messy, didn't mean anything. This is the first time I wanted to touch someone and didn't feel like I had to hide it." I looked at him differently after that, not because I doubted him, but because I suddenly understood the way he kissed me, the way he watched my face like he was reading my reactions, the way his hands moved like he didn't want to get anything wrong. "You didn't do anything wrong," I said gently. He looked at me. "Yeah? Not even close." That made him smile, something shy underneath it this time, something he probably hadn't shown anyone else before. I leaned in and kissed him again, this time slower, more grounded. I kissed him like he deserved to be kissed, like someone who hadn't been allowed to want something real for too long. He melted into it, his hands sliding around my waist, pulling me into his lap with zero hesitation now. "I'm not in a rush," I whispered against his lips. "I kind of am," he said, smiling against my mouth. "But I'll wait if you tell me to." I didn't tell him to stop. We didn't take it all the way, not that night. But we touched, kissed, explored, until every part of me was under his hands or under his breath. I felt his lips down my chest, his fingers digging gently into my sides, his weight pressing against me like he finally knew where he wanted to be. Afterward, we sat in silence again, this time tangled together on the couch, both of us shirtless, sweaty, and buzzed on the kind of closeness that doesn't come from hookups. "Do you want this to be something real?" I asked. He didn't hesitate. "Yeah, I really do." And before I could say anything else, his phone buzzed from the table. He didn't look at it right away, but when he did, his face changed. I leaned up. "What is it?" He read the message once more, then turned the screen toward me. "You forgot the Henderson job. Again." What's going on with you lately? His jaw tensed. His thumb hovered above the screen. I should probably go, he said. But the way he said it didn't sound like he wanted to. It sounded like something outside was still pulling on him, dragging him away from the thing we had just started. He stood at the door with his shirt slung over his shoulder, chest still bare, cheeks flushed from everything that had just happened between us. And yet, for the first time all morning, he looked unsure. Not about what we did, but about what came next. You okay? I asked quietly, stepping closer, not wanting the moment to unravel. Matt nodded, but it was a slow, distracted nod, the kind that says, I'm not sure I am. I just forgot about a job, he said, glancing down at his phone again. It's a regular client. She's already texted twice. You can go, I said. I get it. But something in me sank when I said those words. He looked up at me, something flashing behind his eyes. That's not what I want. I just don't want people thinking I'm slipping, you know? Word spreads fast in this neighborhood. I crossed my arms and leaned against the doorway. You're not slipping. You're just distracted. Big difference? That made him smile, but it was thin. You're trouble, he said, stepping toward me. I raised an eyebrow. I think you like that. He leaned in and kissed me again, quick, warm, familiar already. His hand slid around the back of my neck like he didn't want to let go just yet. And for a second, I thought he might stay. But then he pulled back. I'll text you later, he said, half a question. Yeah, I said, hiding how much I didn't want him to walk out. And then he was gone. Just like that, the door closed and I was left in the silence of my living room, still shirtless, still warm from his skin, still smelling him in the air. The rest of the day was a mess. I couldn't focus. I kept replaying the way he kissed me, the way he looked at me after, like he couldn't believe it had actually happened. I kept wondering what it meant, if this was the start of something or just a release, a rush of heat and impulse that we'd both pretend never happened. But then the hours dragged on, and he didn't text. Not by noon, not by 4. By the time the sun started setting, I was sitting at the kitchen table, tapping my phone against my palm, trying not to spiral. Was he freaking out? Was I stupid to let myself think this was different? I was halfway through convincing myself it had been nothing when my phone finally lit up. Matt, can I come by? I stared at it for a full 10 seconds before replying. Me. Doors unlocked. 15 minutes later, he was back. No mower, no gear, no work excuse. Just Matt, in a black t-shirt, hair messy, eyes darker than before. I opened the door, and he didn't waste time. I'm sorry I didn't text sooner, he said. I was trying to work, but all I could think about was this morning. You. That kiss. I didn't say anything. I didn't need to. Because he stepped inside, grabbed my face in both hands, and kissed me like he'd been starving for it since the minute he left. And this time when I pulled him toward the bedroom, he didn't hesitate. We didn't rush. He undressed slowly, letting me take in every inch of him. The sharp line of his shoulders, the soft curve of his stomach, the strength in his legs. He looked at me like I was something he hadn't let himself want until now, and now that he had, he wasn't letting go. We touched like we had time, like we meant it. His hands moved over me like he'd dreamed it for too long, tracing my ribs, gripping my hips, brushing his lips across every part of my chest. And when we lay together afterward, breathless, warm, wrapped up in each other, he whispered something I didn't expect. "I don't want this to be a one-time thing." I looked at him. "Then don't treat it like one." He nodded, but I could still see something behind his eyes, something nervous, something that told me this story wasn't done shifting just yet. His breath was warm on my neck, his fingers slow on my skin, and the way he whispered my name made my whole body arch into him like I was drawn there by gravity. It didn't feel rushed. It didn't feel like something reckless. It felt like he had planned this, if not in his schedule, then in the quiet corners of his mind. Over the months we danced around each other. "I keep thinking this isn't real," he said against my jaw, his lips brushing every word. "That I'm going to wake up and still be outside mowing your lawn, pretending I don't notice the way you look at me." "You always noticed?" I asked, my hand running down his back, feeling every muscle shift beneath my touch. "Every time," he said, kissing down my neck, stopping at the place where my shoulder met my collarbone. "I saw the way you stood behind the blinds, biting your lip." "You think I didn't see that?" I exhaled sharply as his teeth grazed my skin. Playful, possessive. "So you liked being watched." His hand slid slowly down my side, fingers curling into the dip of my waist, gripping just tight enough to make my breath catch. "No," he said. "I liked being wanted." He pulled back enough to look at me, still pressed between my legs, his shirt long gone, jeans undone, every inch of him warm and firm and steady. "And now," he added, kissing me again, this time rougher, more confident, "I want to be touched like that, watched like that, by you." I pushed his shirt the rest of the way off his arms and watched the way his chest rose and fell, his eyes tracking every move I made like he was learning me. He pulled me onto his lap, skin against skin, and the way he groaned softly when I kissed just below his ear made something spark deep in my chest. He was so strong. But here, in this moment, he wasn't just showing off the muscles that usually glistened in the sun while he worked. He was giving them to me. Every kiss, every caress, every slow press of his hand as it explored my back, then lower still. He kissed down my chest like he needed to taste every inch of it. "I've never done this," he murmured against my stomach. "Not like this, not where I felt everything." I sat up slightly and looked down at him, my fingers tangled in his hair. "Do you want to stop?" He shook his head, breath heavy. "I want more. I want you." The way he said it, soft but firm, made me reach for him all over again. We didn't talk for a while after that. Just touch, just feel, the kind of foreplay that makes time irrelevant, tongues tangled, bodies pressed, moans buried into shoulders and necks. His lips were everywhere. My hands didn't know where to rest because every part of him called for more. And when we finally came down from it, barely dressed, wrapped in each other, bodies marked with kisses, necks damp with sweat, we lay there in silence. The good kind. The kind where the only thing louder than the clock ticking in the kitchen is the sound of two hearts finally beating in rhythm. "I've never felt like this with anyone," he said, voice hoarse. "Like what?" "Like I want to stay." I ran my fingers across his chest, watching it rise and fall under the weight of everything we just shared. "Then stay," I whispered. "You don't have to go back to pretending." He nodded slowly, kissed the side of my neck again, and exhaled like he'd been holding that in for years. But as I started to drift off in his arms, one question still tugged at the edge of my thoughts. If he stays, what does that mean for the rest of his life? Because I could give him heat, I could give him comfort. But the world outside my walls, that would want answers. When I woke up, I was wrapped in heat, his chest against my back, his arm draped across my stomach, his breath slow and steady against my shoulder. The room smelled like sleep and skin, and something else we didn't have a name for yet. I didn't move. Not because I didn't want to, but because I didn't want the moment to end. He stirred behind me, tightening his arm slightly, his fingers brushing against my stomach like they didn't want to let go. "You awake?" he mumbled, his voice thick with sleep. "Barely," I whispered. "You?" "Only because you keep breathing too sexy." I laughed softly and turned to face him. His hair was a mess, his eyes still soft from sleep, and there was a small crease in his cheek from where he'd been pressed into the pillow. He'd never looked better. He kissed me slow and warm, his hand sliding into my hair as he pulled me closer. "I could get used to waking up like this," he said. "Then do it again tomorrow." But just as he smiled and I leaned in to kiss him again, we both heard it. The unmistakable rumble of a diesel engine out front. Matt froze. We both sat up at the same time, and he pulled the curtain aside just enough to peek through. His work truck, the one he let his buddy use when they had overlapping gigs. It was parked right outside, and his buddy Tyler was stepping out, baseball cap on backwards, clipboard in hand, walking right up to the front of the house. My house. "Shit," Matt muttered, standing up fast, already pulling on his jeans. "You think he saw your truck in the back?" I asked, heart rate ticking up. I parked behind the gate. But still, if he recognizes your place... I stood, grabbing a shirt. "You want me to answer the door?" "No," he said quickly. "I've got it." He opened the front door just as Tyler reached the steps. "Yo," Tyler called out, clearly surprised. "You're here?" Matt stepped outside, shirtless, barefoot, clearly trying to play it off. "Yeah," he said casually. "Had to swing by early. Client needed something adjusted." Tyler squinted, looking past him. "In your sweatpants?" Matt laughed, too forced. "Late night. Didn't really sleep. What's up?" Tyler shrugged. "Just needed to grab the other trimmer. Figured I'd pick it up before hitting the Carmichael job." "Cool," Matt said, blocking the view into the house with his body. "It's in the back. Give me 5. Tyler hesitated. Then his eyes darted to mine. He had definitely seen me. Barefoot, in a shirt that was clearly not mine, standing just out of sight. He didn't say anything, but the smirk on his face said everything. "Cool," Tyler finally said. "I'll wait." Matt shut the door and leaned against it, jaw tense. "Think he figured it out?" I asked quietly. "I think Tyler isn't the problem," Matt said. "I think it's what happens after he figures it out. People talk." I stepped closer. "Let them." But he didn't look convinced. "Your face says you're ready," I said, "but your body just hit panic mode." "I want this," he said quickly. "That hasn't changed. I don't want you caught in the crossfire if people start assuming things." They'd be right. I know, but still. I reached for him, slid my hands under his shirt, and pulled him close. Then be proud of what they're right about. He kissed me again, quieter this time, thoughtful. And when he pulled back, I could see the storm behind his eyes starting to settle. He stepped outside, grabbed the gear, and gave Tyler a nod that said, "Don't ask." Tyler didn't. He just loaded the truck and drove off like it was no big deal. But I could feel something had shifted. The world outside knew now, even if it hadn't said it out loud yet. For the rest of the week, Matt kept showing up, not just to mow the lawn, not just for a quick kiss on the porch or a night tangled up in my sheets. He came by after work with takeout. He stayed long enough to fold laundry with me on the floor. He asked about my day. He learned how I liked my coffee. He didn't just visit, he arrived. And for a while, it was easy to pretend the outside world wasn't changing, that nobody noticed the way he parked closer to my house now, that the other contractors who used to wave when they saw him now just nodded. I noticed. So did he. He didn't say anything at first, but I could tell it weighed on him, on the way his shoulders sat lower when he was out in public, or how he glanced over his shoulder more often than he used to. Then came the message. From Tyler. Just 5 words. "You good with all this?" Matt stared at it for a full minute, then locked his phone and tossed it on the table. "I'm sick of feeling like I need permission," he said suddenly, standing up. "I've worked for myself for 5 years, built my business from nothing, built myself from nothing. And the minute I decide to be honest about what I want, everyone acts like I need to explain it." "You don't," I said, walking over to him. He turned, jaw tight. "Then why do I feel like I'm one phone call away from losing work just because I spent the night with you?" I didn't have an answer, but I held him anyway. Because that's what you do when someone's brave enough to speak the part they usually swallow. We stood like that for a while, his forehead pressed into my shoulder, his arms tight around my waist, our breathing sinking like it had so many times before. Then he said it, the thing that landed harder than I expected. "I think I love you." Just like that. No big setup, no trembling lip, just a raw truth tossed into the air like he didn't care how far it fell. I pulled back just enough to see his face. "You think?" He smiled, shaky this time. "Okay, I know. But I didn't want to freak you out. You think I let you stay the night 3 times a week just because I like your mower lines?" He laughed, tension easing instantly. "Say it back," he said, eyes locked on mine. I took his hand, brought it to my chest, and whispered, "I love you." He exhaled like he'd been holding his breath since the first day he stepped through my back gate. And then he kissed me. Deep, slow, full of relief and promise. And it felt different this time. Not like fire, like foundation. That night he didn't leave. Not because he was trying to escape something, but because he finally had somewhere to land. Somewhere that looked like a front yard and a porch light and a man who watched him through the window, not out of lust, but out of want, out of hope. And in the morning when we made breakfast, I asked the question that had been hovering between us for weeks. What happens next? He didn't pause, he didn't deflect. He just said, "I bring my stuff. I bring my clothes, I stop leaving." He came back that afternoon, not with a U-Haul, not with boxes or a plan, just a duffel bag, a couple of t-shirts, a pair of work boots, and that look in his eyes that said this isn't temporary. He dropped the bag by the door like it had always belonged there, then walked into the kitchen, pulled open the cabinet, and laughed. "You made space." "Of course I did." He grabbed a mug, his mug now, and filled it with coffee, then leaned against the counter and watched me with that half smile I'd learned meant I'm staying. It was quiet after that, but the good kind. The kind where your home is full, not noisy. The kind where someone walking across the floor barefoot feels louder than music. Later that night, I stood by the window, looking at the lawn, freshly cut, edges neat, mower still tucked behind the gate. I felt him come up behind me, his arms sliding around my waist, chin resting on my shoulder. "I used to picture this," he whispered, "me here, you here. No more pretending." I leaned back into him. "And now?" He kissed my neck. "Now I don't have to." We stood like that as the sun went down, watching the street light flicker on. One house, one yard. Two men who stopped pretending and started building something real. Not just heat, not just want. Home.